Hi folks, Dave with DBS Tech Talk. Today we're going to talk about the Sennheiser HD560 S. But before that, check out the links down below. There will be links for products that are used during the review process, also playlists that were listened to during the review process, also how you can contact me through email in Discord, and also how you can support the channel. So check out those links, and then don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Sennheiser HD560 S. They were a long wait. Put them on pre-order. Shipment got delayed, and then when they finally came in, I put them through the paces. Comes in a pretty standard box, blue and gray. Has a picture of Sennheiser HD560 S. Has some branding on it. Get a little specs on the side, some information on the back. Nothing too exciting. They are 120 ohms of impedance, 110 decibels of sensitivity, frequency response of 12 hertz to 38 kilohertz. Inside the box, you will get a little dongle for 1/4 inch to 3.5 millimeter. You'll get a monstrosity of a cable that is rubberized, has a 1/4 inch, and then going into the headphone, you have a single-ended 4-pole. So you will be able to get a balanced cable for these, but it's interlocking, so you're going to have a proprietary connector. Kind of frustrating, but it is what it is. 10-foot cable, plenty long, just curls up, and yeah, not a huge fan of it. But it does what a cable's supposed to do. All right, so you also get the Sennheiser HD560 S. And as you can see, they are a black edition of the 5 Series. I actually like that. I'm not a big fan of the other color schemes of the 5 Series. Sorry, I got something in my eye. All right. So the black is a welcomed addition. The 560Ss are very light, all plastic build. You do get that velour padding, which Sennheiser is known for. It's very comfy, very cush, very pleasing on the ears. I find that the clamp force is minimal, and these are very comfortable headphone to wear. I do not have any issues with them being on my head for hours on end, and the plastic's going to last. Sennheiser is well known for their durability, so I have no fears about these, even though they're plastic, breaking anytime soon. How do they sound? Before we do that, let me talk about the gear that was used during the review. I used my Mytek Liberty. I also used the Mytek Liberty going balanced out to the THX AAA 789. I used the Gishelli Labs Enog 2 Pro going out to the Archel and the Archel 2. Also used the Gishelli going out to the Topping L30 and the Magni 3 Hersey. Used a Grace Design S deck going out to the Gishelli Archel and the Archel 2. Used it going to the Topping L30 and the Magni 3 Hersey. I also used, what else did I use? A Topping E30 going into the Magni. Used no DAPs and no dongles. I actually only used desktops. It's not very picky. Ran very well on all of those. Some of them did have a few differences, and we'll talk about that. Did not run them single-ended, only used the, or did not I only ran them single-ended, did not use them balanced. So the Sennheiser HD560 S, how do they sound? Well, according to the box here, they are supposed to have a reference grade headphones for an analytical listening session. So can you use these for critical listening and for reference? All right, Dave, you've rambled on now. How do they sound? Okay. Um, Bass. The bass on the Sennheiser HD560 S is very nicely done. It's slightly rolled off around 70 hertz or so. It'll start to roll off. So the sub bass is not super prominent. The details are there. You just aren't going to get a lot of girth, a lot of body to it. And then the mid bass and upper bass have a nice linear kind of approach to things. They're very close to neutral. They're not going to overpower you in impact and punchiness and slam or any of that sort. They're going to be very well behaved. They have really good details. Clarity and detail is very nice. Tonality is there. I actually like the bass a lot. I just wish it had a little bit more body to it, just a little bit of slam to it than it does. It just seems a little bit on the thin side. Treble is very nicely done beyond 9K. So the upper treble is very nice. Has a good airiness to it, has good energy. It's very smooth. It's not fatiguing in any way. I find them to be a very nice approach to the treble, especially for Sennheiser. It does not have that veiled kind of warmer tone to it. It's a very airy and open sounding treble. Lower treble is a little bit too far forward. It has an assertiveness to it, and that also goes into the upper mids. The upper mids is very forward and very assertive and has a edginess to it. And I find that it kind of makes the timbre of some instruments to sound a little off. It's just enough to be annoying, but not enough to be frustrating. So from about 4K to about 8K, it's a very high peak. And it just, to me, approaches that borderline of too much. And it's a little off-putting. The rest of the mids are fine as far as tonality and as far as details and clarity. But just like the bass, they lack a little bit of body. They're a little too airy, a little too much thinness in there, and not enough body to sound natural. Soundstage wise, the soundstage is wider than you would expect for most Sennheisers, unless you're looking at 700s and 800s. It's a very nice soundstage. Has good width to it, has decent depth and layering, and it does a good job in placement. The center image is very well done, and everything else kind of goes around it and fits in nicely, and you can tell if it's on the right side or if it's on the left side, if it's right forward, right rear, and things travel well across the stage. So it's a very nicely well done soundstage. Does lack just a little bit of precision, so you can't do pinpoint accurate, but it's pretty darn near close to that. I do enjoy the soundstage quite a bit. As far as how does it compare to other gear that I have? Well, the HD600. The 600 is going to sound a little bit more body, a little bit more full, and a little bit more warm. But to me, the 600 sounds more natural when it comes to the tone and timbre. The 560S kind of lacks that fullness to it, and it lacks the accuracy in the timbre. I find that the 600 is a little bit more fleshed out in that regard. Obviously, the 560 has the better soundstage, placement, imaging, all of that in the soundstage. They're pretty close to a 600. I think the 600 does a little bit better job of being a little bit more pinpoint, but you're not really going to miss a whole lot there, other than you're going to get the more expansive soundstage. Going against the Ollo S4X, I find that the Ollo S4X is more balanced and more cohesive. There's not the peak going up in the upper mids and lower treble region. And I find that the Ollo S4X actually has a more natural tone to it. It seems more accurate and true, especially through the mids. It has a little bit more body to it, a little bit more just girth overall, and it doesn't sound as thin. How does the 560S play on the gear that was mentioned earlier? The Mytek Liberty actually is my favorite with the 560S. It has a little bit of openness, you get a little bit more detail clarity, and it seems to do a little bit better in the soundstage as far as isolation and separation of instruments and placement. And it sounds more natural, and the timbre is not quite as off-putting with the Mytek Liberty as it is with some of the other gear. What I found really interesting is Geshelli Labs. I usually like Sennheisers with Geshelli Labs. And for me, the Geshelli Labs with the 560S just didn't have that naturalism, that overall presence that with the tone and timbre. It just kind of sounded a little meh. And it just wasn't very energetic to me. And I was really confused as to that, as Geshelli is normally very good with Sennheisers, but something with the 560S, it just didn't sound very pleasing. On tube amps, on the Baldych, I actually really enjoyed the 560S. I found that the soundstage, again, was a little bit more open, a little bit more clear, and did a little bit better job of detail retrieval and portrayal. So the Sennheiser HD560 S. I know I was a little critical on it, but truthfully, it's a really good headphone. I really do enjoy it, even though it does have a few flaws. The issue that really stands out for me, the issues that really stand out for me are the upper mids, lower treble portrayal, the assertiveness of the way that they come forward, and the off-putting timbre that it presents. That's the major problems that I have along, excuse me, along with being a little bit on the thin side. And to me, the 560S just doesn't sound quite as natural as the 600 and the Ollo S4X do. But if you're looking for a more analytical sounding headphone in a budget, $200, the Sennheiser 560S is a very good option. And I think that it's a very good choice if you want to get an introduction into that audiophile reference analytical sound. It's a very good step into that. Personally, for me, I would choose the 600 because of the tone and timbre aspects of it, and the Ollo S4X because it's more balanced and cohesive, and also because of the tone and timbre. But the Ollo S4X is double the price of the 560, and the 600 is slightly more expensive as well. So I recommend the 560S as long as you understand that there are a little bit of flaws with it. It's not the perfect headphone, but it is a very good introduction into the world of critical listening. It's been Dave with DBS Tech Talk. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Speaking of next videos, somewhere on the screen is going to be notifications and subscription links and all kinds of other stuff. Don't forget to check out the links down below, and I'll see you next time.